citizen.
Out of many
We are world citizens, same vision is for equal rights and justice for the people them. What's happening to this beautiful world that we're living in? World citizen, lift up your voices.
Well, today here on the People Powered Planet podcast, we're going to be talking about Occupy Back Our Cities with a singing revolution as we see the incredible situation of U.S. cities getting occupied by federal troops. Something comes to mind that when Soviet troops and tanks rolled into Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, the people responded with a singing revolution that beat the mighty Soviet Union. This is an incredible story, historically world-shaking, and yet the world paid little attention to it because it didn't fit into that old model of the hero with the big gun, blasting people away with bully power. This was nonviolent people power, and they succeeded in doing what Ukraine failed to do, beating the Soviet Empire. How did they do it, Barbara? This is Barbara Leger, who is doing some incredible work in Ukraine. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what your recollections are about Estonia.
Well, first of all, it isn't that Ukraine didn't manage to repel Russia yet. So they
but they at the beginning there was actually a beginning of a nonviolent revolution. Then NATO pushed them toward the more military.
Oh yes, we have a long history with Russia, and actually, what's really the saddest of it is that everybody lives in each other's countries. There's Russians in Ukraine and Ukrainians in Russia, and families are all intermarried. And so, underneath all of what we're doing. To settle our differences with violence, which we know never settles differences. What actually is happening is here's a people trying to figure out how to come back to themselves. So I'm just knowing that underneath all of the violence, the real truth is that everyone loves each other, whether they remember it or not. So even if their family says they don't like them anymore, I don't buy it. I know that once you've loved somebody, you've loved them forever, even if you don't want to. So that's where I'm at with that. And
bravo. So go ahead. How does Estonia tie into all this?
Well, I went to Ukraine in 2001, but I didn't have any money to support it. I just went there. I sold my property, gave my dog to my son and my Buick Park Avenue, my treasured car to my daughter, and left. And so about a month before I actually left, a friend of mine from my old citizen diplomacy days, an Estonian, wrote me and said, I need you in Estonia. And I said, and we had always said, someday we're going to work together. He came over here on a business university to university exchange program, and him and two others, and I became friends with them all. So I said, what do you need? He says, we have to reunite our country. Our company. Well, maybe our country came first and then the company followed, but it was free from the Soviet Union at that time. It had become Estonia, a free country. And in the process, the Swedes had bought this largest fabric manufacturing plant in Tallinn. Actually, it was in Narva, Estonia. And it was the Soviets' largest fabric plant. And the Swedes divided it into 7 little plants to teach them about business and organization and how to make a profit. And they became so good at making a profit at each level, by the time they got to selling it, they couldn't sell it. The product was too expensive. It couldn't compete in the market, and the company was suffering. And he said to me, can you help? I said, oh my gosh, I've never done anything like that. But I was a business consultant. So I was there. They brought me to Estonia 1 week a month for a year and a half to work with their company to reunite the company. And I used every single thing I had ever known, from parenting to how to raise a teenager, to how to deal with a bully, to how to integrate different cultures, to having a plan and having an organization and trusting that there's a divine idea in everything that we do and that there's always a solution and just be daring. And I used all of it. I used everything.
Woo!
And I didn't speak Russian at the time, certainly not Estonian. And I mean, I spoke a few words, but not enough, about 50. But I would invite them to dinner. I taught them about Thanksgiving. We had a Thanksgiving celebration. I did the cooking. I used everything. And in the process, and we also used visioning. What's the vision of possibility? If we continue on this path, where are we going to go? Well, we've priced ourselves out of the market, we'll collapse. Well, what's the alternative? Well, we have to sell our product. Okay, what would that look like? Oh, it would look like that. Well, then how are you going to get there? Well, I don't know, because my little company, my 1/7 of this corporation, it's doing great. And so all 7 kings and queens of those little companies had to look for the bigger picture and come to understand that sometimes it's company over self, as it is, country over politics, or whatever the games we get lost in these days. So, I'm not a political person.
Or world over country.
Or a world over country. All of that, we just have to decide to do violence and reaction to violence in a nonviolent way. Because, war doesn't end, doesn't end by force. It'll never end until you make peace.
What happened when Soviet tanks tried to prevent the breakaway of the Baltic nations?
Well, I wasn't there then. They knew that story and I'd heard it. And I have a video of that Baltic Revolution. It's somewhere in my
The
pile.
singing revolution. We're gonna play a little bit of that during the
Yeah,
meeting.
I've got that. I've watched it several times. They're so proud of it. The thing is, whenever you share a border with someone, it's an invitation to learn how to get along. And there's lots of models about how to do that in the world. And there's lots of models of people that want to be right more than they want to be successful. And so we have to switch that, starting with ourselves. Peace starts within. I'm the founder of Golden Path of Peace, and I've been in Ukraine for 24 years. And we have peace projects that we do in the public schools, and they're working. And they're working because people feel better when they feel peaceful. They're wiser. They access their wisdom. They make better choices, better decision. It reduces stress. It opens up possibility. I mean, I don't know why they don't teach it in school. We should all be learning how, Gandhi would love it. Just be the peace you want to see, was what he always said. That's our assignment. Nothing else is really going to work.
Absolutely. So what we were talking about, and you sent me a little video message about it, that you thought there was something very valuable to learn from the singing revolution that could apply to people in cities being occupied here. Tell us a little more about that thought.
Well, just when I read the promo that you did about this show, I thought, what happens when you sing? Well, first of all, singing is so magic. Music is so magic because it moves you out of your head and into your heart. It's an emotional experience. And that's why it's so important to use music and art and creativity in solving the challenges that we face today. We can't solve them by the methods that we're currently using. And yet we have to do that. I mean, people say to me, how can you, say that we, need to fight a war with Ukraine? I say, we're not fighting a war. We are defending a country. We're defending what we love. We do what we have to do, but we don't do it with hatred. We do it for love of our country. And there's so many songs in Ukraine people sing that are about this love of country. Even before this invasion, I remember, 30 years before, when I worked in other parts of this experience, and all these men in suits, they'd get on a bus and they'd start singing songs. There was always a song leader. The whole team would move, in Russia, we were in Siberia a lot. And this whole team, all these men in suits, said, get on the bus. And then they'd start singing. And I'd say, what is that song about? And they say, oh, it's about the little bunny in the forest. It's like, really? These are guys with top hats on, you know. And I say, wow, what else do you sing? Oh, we sing about planting the garden and harvesting the, you know, the kapustas, the cabbages. And songs are for our soul. Songs open our heart. And when your heart is open, then you see the world differently. And so having a music festival, which Europe does, you know, these big music festivals, it's like the Olympics of nonviolence is music. We should all take all of us and put us in teams and have music contests. Really,
Wow.
settle our differences with music. Why not?
The Olympics of nonviolence is music. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
That is terrific. Well,
So I'm committed to that, and I see the world as peaceful in my lifetime. And if anybody wants to join us and, you know, see what we're doing in Ukraine, just please give me a call.
fantastic. Well, I know you had to jump on a little early because you're running to another planning meeting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any comments, Melanie, or last words that you want to give us?
Barbara, you are an amazing speaker.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate all your words of wisdom. And I absolutely agree. Singing's the way to go. It just opens up your heart. Yes, it's beautiful. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for saying that.
a few minutes ago, before I even looked at the last night's chat, I was putting on my socks and I was feeling happy in my heart. And I went, you know, I just took an hour for myself this morning just to do what I'd like to do, but often I don't because I rush to Ukraine in the morning. And my heart was open. And I wasn't afraid that there's no money in the bank account. My heart was open. I went, you know what? It's all going to be fine. You just have to open your heart in order to receive. That's all. In order to receive what you want, you can't hold grudges. And I went, okay, we've got to write a poem or do something about that. You want something, you got to release everything that's against it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's write a song together later.
Let's write a song.
Woohoo! Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My
Thank you,
joy.
Barbara.
I
Yes.
used to be in TV, you know, you don't know, but I started a PBS station in California.
Wow.
3 of
I
us.
didn't know that.
Oh,
Woo.
there's a lot. You know.
There's so many surprises to learn about you, Barbara.
I've got quite a
Love
life.
you.
All right, see you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you,
Be
Barbara.
able to watch
Thank you.
My
Bye.
joy. Bye.
Thank you, and join us each and every week on the People Powered Planet podcast.
World citizen, lift up your voices. Oh, you know we got something to say. All we need is the same directions, heading in one way.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video.